India's fair trade regulator, the Competition Commission, has the real estate industry under its investigative scanner. India's largest developer body, CREDAI, and a long list of realty majors are being probed for alleged cartelization and for operating unfair agreements with consumers. So we decided to read the devil in the detail. We're going to study different builder-buy agreements that are used by both big to small developers. If the Competition Commission of India has gone to the extent of calling out a cartel in the developer community, we need to find out what really is abusive and one-sided in these builder-buy agreements. We got hold of a number of builder-buy agreements of real estate companies prominent in the northern markets. Almost all read the same in language, some straightforward, some rather subtle.
All of them will have a differential interest rate. In case of delay of payment by a consumer, they will be given some paltry 1% to 2%, whereas the developers, in case of delay by the consumer, will take almost 15 to 18% as penalty charges. Preferential location charges, they will take that money up front. However, the layout plans can be changed at the sole discretion and arbitrariness of the developer, and there's very little that the consumer can do.
The developer also puts on paper that he has the right, without any prior approval of the buyer, to make structural alterations or additions. This increases the super area, which in turn significantly raises the price of the unit.
There are provisions in the Apartment Act, and there are certain orders by the Honorable High Court also in this regard, that even the Director General Town and Country Planning cannot alter the layouts until and unless he invites the no objections, unless he invites the objections of the people. So the law is very clear. You don't need to have the consent of the majority. In fact, you need to have the consent of all the owners of the complex.
Many of the common clauses which legal experts claim are abusive in nature read like this. If the buyer wishes to surrender his allotment or fails to pay installments, the developer can forfeit the earnest money, returning only the balance without interest. Developers also added indemnity clause, where they secure themselves and their maintenance agency against any claims or legal proceedings in case of damage or lapses. Only the developer and his appointed maintenance agency is given control of the common areas and facilities, as against the lawful mandate of handing over to the RWA. But clauses claiming force majeure relief let the developer abandon or delay the project without any liabilities. Also, no matter if the unit or building is livable or not, once the developer hands over possession, holding charges of up to 10 rupees per square foot are levied if the buyer doesn't move in. A time is essence clause is only applicable on the purchaser to comply with the payment timelines and says nothing about the seller meeting timelines. At a later stage, if the buyer wants to take the builder to court, the agreement protects him from even that with an arbitration clause.
Arbitration clause actually takes away most of the courts out of the purview of these disputes. Civil courts can't go into it. If there is an arbitration clause, and they usually keep the right to appoint the arbitrator to themselves. And I have first-hand experiences where builders have actually stretched an arbitration matter for so long that the owner lost his interest in the entire thing and he found it futile and he has to give in to the demands.
Legal experts claim these one-sided agreements are also in contravention of the Indian Contracts Act of 1872. CCI's lens on the top 20 developers speaks of the rights of the high-end consumer group. The low-end buyers still remain at the mercy of these abusive contracts in the absence of a government-appointed regulator. With camera person AJ Joseph, Vasudha Sharma, NDTV.